the Always Believe House. Oh, today we're going to have FUN, fun, because we're going to add, subtract polynomials. So a magical whiteboard appears. Let's start working on these. Yesterday you learned about polynomials and the parts of a polynomial and how to get the like terms. Okay? So terms are separated by a plus or minus sign. And like terms have the same variable and coefficient, and exponent, I should say. And remember, what I taught is to single underline, double underline, triple underline, because that's the order you're going to put it in. Standard form means you're going to put the exponents from the largest to the smallest. For example, let's do number 1. Okay, write the expression that is equivalent to x squared minus 4x plus 7 plus x squared minus x plus 5. In this problem, we're going to add, so none of the signs are going to be different. Also, what might help is to put a 1 in front of an exponent or a variable that doesn't have a coefficient. That's going to be the number you add or subtract. So on this problem here, we're going to single underline the x squares because those are the biggest exponents. Those 2's are the exponents. You single underline them. The next thing we're going to do is double underline the x's, and then we're going to triple underline the constants or the numbers. That's the order we're going to put this in. So if you look at the single underlines, we have 1x and 1x. If you combine those up, you would get 2x squared, because 1 plus 1 is 2. The x squared doesn't change. Now then, look, we got a minus 4x and a minus 1x. I'm going to put this to the side. If you do negative 4 minus 1 on the calculator, you would get a negative 5. So on the calculator, you're going to have to punch that in if you don't know what negative 4 minus 1 is. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5 and the letter's x. You're writing these as sign, number, letter, exponent. Lastly, we got plus 7 and plus 5. I'm going to put this over here. If you were to punch this into the calculator, 7 plus 5, it would equal to 12. This is a polynomial in standard form. Notice the largest exponent's first, and it decreases in order, and the constant comes last. Remember, this would be a trinomial, and it has a degree of 2, doesn't it? Because the biggest exponent's 2. Okay, let's go to the next one, number 2. We're going to combine these up, okay? So I'm going to leave this in the order. I'm going to single underline the h squares. I'm going to double underline the h. And I'm going to triple underline the 7 over 2 and the 1/4. Okay, so we're going to group, we're going to combine these expressions up, aren't we? So we're just going to group the like terms. So the first thing we need to do is 3h squared plus 1/2 h squared. If you punch that in on the calculator, it's going to give you 7 over 2. You can also say 3.5. But 3 plus 1/2 is going to be 3.5 or 7 over 2. The star is going to use the 7 over 2. So we're going to put 7 over 2, and then we're going to have the h squared. Now then, let's go to the double underline. The only thing double underlined is this. So we're going to write down minus 4 over 5h, and then look at the triple underlines. We have 7 over 2 plus 1 over 4. You're going to have to punch that into the calculator. If you were to punch that into the calculator, you would get 15 over 4. So I'm going to put plus 15 over 4. Just punch it into the calculator. It'll give you the answer. This is the answer in standard form. Okay, it's a trinomial, and it has a degree of 2, doesn't it? Notice how the exponents go from big to small. It's really important you're putting that in the right order, okay? The letters, if there's different letters, they would go alphabetically. Let's go to number 3. The fun continues. F-U-N, fun. On number 3, we want the perimeter of the rectangle. The perimeter means we're going to add up all the edges. So this edge is going to be the same as the top, and the left is the same as the right. Now then, you're going to have to do this in geometry. I'm going to show you a shortcut here. What's the largest polynomial I got? It's the trinomial, right? The top and the bottoms are trinomials, the left and the right are binomials. So I'm going to write the top down once. Now then, how many tops are there? The top and the bottom is the same thing, so I'm going to write it down. What I'm going to do is add up all these edges. Now then, I need to add the x squared minus 8. Notice I'm going to stack these and put them in the right spot. So I have my x squares, my x's, and my numbers are my constants. And then I need another x squared minus 8. Now then, I can just draw a bar here and I can go straight down and add if these have a 1 as an exponent, right? So on the calculator, you would do 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1. The x squared would not change. So 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 8x squared. Negative 5x minus 5x, it's negative 10. You're going to have to punch negative 5 minus 5 on the calculator. Don't just guess at these. Use the calculator. This will be minus 10x, and then 2 plus 2 minus 8 minus 8. Punch that into the calculator. It's going to be negative 12. So 8x squared minus 10x minus 12 would be the answer. Notice it's in standard form. It has 3 terms, so it's a trinomial, and it would have a degree of 2. The fun continues. Let's go to number 4. Simplify the expression. This minus right here is going to get distributed. So this part won't change, but this part right here, the signs will flip. So it'll be negative x minus 4. So what happens? That minus is going to switch this sign and this sign. So the plus will switch to a minus, the plus will switch to a minus. It'll flip all the signs that are in the parentheses after that. Now that I'm going to single underline the x's, and I'm going to double underline the numbers. And remember, put a 1 in front for a variable that doesn't have a coefficient. Now then, my single underlines are 3 minus 1. I can punch that in on the calculator. 3 minus 1 is 2, the letter's x. And then I need to do the double underlines, which is 12 minus 4. I can punch that in on the calculator. I would get 8, and you got to put a plus in front of it. So 2x plus 8 would be the answer. This polynomial has 2 terms, so it would have a degree, or it would have a binomial, and the biggest exponent is 1. It would have a degree of 1. So this is a binomial with a degree of 1. If you were to graph this, it would graph a line. Okay, it would be a linear expression. Let's go to number 5. On number 5, we got a negative 2 right here. That negative 2 is going to be distributed. So I need to rewrite this whole problem. This part won't change. 5x squared minus 7y squared plus 4x. And then negative 2 times 2 is negative 4y squared. Negative 2, this is a 1, times 1 is minus 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a plus 4x squared. So what I did is I distributed the negative 2 and I multiplied it through here. You could use the calculator if you need to do that multiplying. Now then, we're going to single underline, double underline, and triple underline. The biggest exponents are 2's. So I'm going to single underline the x squares, and I'm going to double underline the y squares because we're going to put them in alphabetical order. Lastly, the x's would get triple underline. So we're going to do single underline, double underline, triple underline, and put them in that order, okay? So the single underlines are 5 and 4. So to the side, I'm going to write down 5 plus 4. That's what I'm going to punch in the calculator if I can't do that in my brain. So 5 plus 4 is 9. The letter is x. The exponent's 2. Now that I'm going to go to the double underline. The double underline has a negative 7 and a minus 4. Punch that into the calculator. Negative 7 minus 4, they're both negative. You would go to the left. You would go to the left 11 times with you. So negative 11, the letter's y, the exponent's 2. Sign, number, letter, exponent. And lastly, we're going to do the x's. We have a plus 4 and we have a minus 2 for the triple underlines. 4 minus 2 is 2, and it's a positive 2. So I'm going to put plus 2x. This is the answer, okay? It would be a trinomial, and technically it has a degree of 2, and it has x and y in it. You would not be able to graph this, okay? Going on to number 6, F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. This is probably the hardest one because there's a lot of parentheses. We're going to rewrite it. This plus means nothing changes. This minus is going to get distributed. So we're going to write down 4p squared, and then plus, I'm going to put 1p minus 6p squared plus 3. Nothing happens to the plus 3. And then these signs are going to flip. The opposite of a negative is a positive 2p. The opposite of negative 5 is a plus 5. So now then, this is my problem. Now then, I'm going to single underline, double underline, and maybe triple underline. The largest exponents are the 2's, aren't they? The next largest exponents are the p's. They have a degree of 1. And then the constants go last. The numbers without a letter go last. Now then, we're going to add these up. So my single underlines, just put it to the side. The single underlines have plus 4 minus 6. Punch that into the calculator. 4 minus 6 is a negative 2. The letter is p. The exponent's 2. So you do the math with the calculator, then write down the letter and the exponent. It doesn't change. The double underlines have a plus 1 and a plus 2. That's pretty simple. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I'm going to have plus 3p. And then the triple underlines are plus 3 and plus 5. So 3 plus 5, you should be able to do that in your brain. 3 plus 5 is a plus 8. This right here would be the answer. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Now that we're going to go to the homework, I'm going to start you off, but you're going to do the homework all on your own. So these are the notes, and you would use these notes. Notice how I'm showing the work on the side right here. This is how you actually get the numbers that go in front of the letters. These are called the coefficients, okay? So we're going to go to the next problem. Okay? Now then, I'm going to start you off, but you got to finish it, okay? So on number 1, this plus means nothing's going to happen. So let's rewrite it without the parentheses. And this x, we get a 1x with it. Now that I'm going to single underline, double underline, and maybe triple underline. The x squareds we get singles, and the x's we get doubles. I'm going to let you finish this up. You got to add up the x squares and the x's, okay? Go to number 2. That minus gets bluebell or distributed. Okay, so we're going to write down 4x squared minus 7x plus 2. The opposite of a negative 8 is a plus 8x squared. The opposite of a negative 3 is plus 3. Now that I can single underline, double underline, and triple underline. The biggest exponent is an x squared. And this is an x squared, right? So I have 2 single underlines. The next biggest letter is the x. And then the 2 and the 3 get tripled. Notice that this 7x is going to drop into the answer. There's not going to add it to it. So you're going to combine the single underlines, the 7x drops, or the minus 7x. You got to combine the 2 and the 3. I'm going to go to number 3. Same thing on this one right here. This minus is going to get distributed. So let's rewrite it. 15n plus 7n squared plus 1 minus 6n plus 3. The opposite of plus 7 is minus 7n squared. The opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. Now then you would go back, single underline, double underline, triple underline. The biggest exponents are the 2's. The next biggest exponents are the n's. And then the 1, the 3, and the 2 would get triple underline. You got to combine all 3 of those numbers, and that would go at the end. Keep going. Number 4. Right here, you're just going to type this in, and I would put a 1 in front of that x. These are my single underlines, my double underlines. We're going to combine them, right? If it says combine, you're going to add. This is my triple underlines. Okay, so for the single underlines, you're going to do 1/4 plus 3. That's going to be an improper fraction. For the double underlines, you're going to do negative 5 minus 1. And for the triple underlines, you're going to do 1/4 minus 7 over 2. And then write it out, okay? You could do this. Use the calculator to get the coefficient. The letter and exponent won't change. You're going to have something x squared, something x, and then the number. Okay, so you need to put a number here, here, and here to get that answer. And there are going to be some fractions in the answer. You can do it, though. Just add them up. Number 5. Okay, we want to calculate the perimeter, and it's an equilateral triangle, so everything is 5x squared minus 2. Remember how I taught you to do this? We're going to stack everything. So I'm going to write down 5x squared minus 2, and we got 3 of those. I'm going to write all 3 of them down. Now that you just go straight down and add. And I'm going to do one of them for you. 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15 in it. So 15x squared, and then you got to do the next one. Negative 2 minus 2 minus 2, you would put the number right there. It's going to be 15x squared minus something. Number 6, write a polynomial that represents a perimeter of a rectangle. Draw the rectangle. Okay, so we're going to actually draw a rectangle. The length is 2x squared minus 4x plus 5, and the width is 3x plus 7. I need to write these down on the top and the bottom, and the left and the right are the same, aren't they? And then remember, we're going to stack these up to add them up. So I need to add up the lengths, the widths, and the heights. So I'm going to add the 2x squared minus 4x plus 5. That's the longest polynomial. I'm going to write it down twice because it's the top and the bottom in it. Now then we're going to do the left and the right, and we're just going to do 3x plus 7 and 3x plus 7. Notice everything's stacked. We're just going to go straight down and add. You're going to have something x squared, something x, and a number. So you got to get those 3 numbers in your answer, okay? Fun, fun, fun. You can finish this up on your own. Make sure you turn in your homework paper. The first page is for your notes. You'll turn in the second page. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are amazing. You were created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.